Hey, welcome to Dan's Model Works. This is our 200th video. Now, I know 200 videos is not much compared to many other channels, but for a grocery clerk who works 7 nights a week, I think it's pretty good. Actually, when I started making videos, I was shooting for one video per week, and I wondered if I had enough materials or ideas to sustain that. Over the last year or so, it feels like we were averaging one video every week and a half. However, it's been about 190 weeks since our first video went up. So on average, we've been close to one per week. Probably the occasional week where we have two videos makes up for the dry spells. As for running out of video ideas, it feels like I haven't scratched the surface. One thing I did not anticipate is Natasha's interest in building models or the enormous support viewers have given her projects. So Natasha and my other offspring, such as Emily,
Yellow.
holding the camera right now, discussed what we should do for a 200th video. And we all agreed that a tour of our kit stockpiler stash would fit the bill. Firstly, I think it's interesting how many modelers accumulate a stash over time. It must be fairly common because the ScaleMates website has an app to help people manage their stashes. This stockpiling of stuff is not exclusive of modelers. I can remember over 20 years ago my father stating that my mother had so many books that even at an optimistic rate of reading, she could not finish all of the books she had in her possession in her remaining lifetime. And she's still buying books. I'm sure we've all seen people who restore things, whether they are old toys, all the way up to antique cars, who will give a tour of their property, which reveals a pile of someday projects that probably would keep them busy for several lifetimes. The problem with many such pursuits is limited availability of the raw materials. That book, antique toy, or classic car is not an infinite resource. It's a case of buy it now or you may lose your chance forever. Our hobby is especially prone to this. Once you pass up on a kit on the hobby stop shelf, only to hear the shop owner laughing hysterically when a year later you ask him to order you one. Do you realize that many kits are only available for 6 months to a year? And then it may not be re-released for how long? 5 years? 10 years? Never? Oh yeah, the ship carrying the molds. Yeah, that sank. So, without further delay, here is a tour of our stockpile, and no, none of it is currently for sale. We will start with Natasha's pile. She recorded her part of the video a couple weeks ago before leaving for camp in northern Manitoba.
This is my collection of unbuilt models. As you're watching this, I'll be in Manitoba for summer camp. I have a total of 21 kits in my stash, including this bag kit right here, the Ford pickup truck. Most of them are cars, and most of those are Mustangs, as they are my favorite kind of car, and I'm trying to get one from every generation. There are a couple Thunderbirds. It's interesting to see how the car could change in just 4 years, from 58 through to 62. Aircraft are also an interest of mine, and I have a variety of them over here. I have a couple Mustangs, and I've also managed to get my favorite aircraft, which is the Avro Arrow.
So we have two late additions to Natasha's stash that she literally got 1 or 2 days before leaving for camp. We've got the 79 Camaro, the Z28, and I have to admit, later releases I've seen of this, I've been tempted to get this, and this is certainly the version I'd build. And then we have the Hudson Hornet, which we had got from a reseller online. And to tell you the truth, I thought I was buying it for myself, but apparently I wasn't. So these are two later additions to Natasha's stash. So, before we start the main part of the tour, I'd just like to point out that what you're going to see represents, maybe about 23 years worth of accumulation. And I'd say maybe about a quarter of it was bought at regular hobby store prices. Maybe a quarter of it was bought online from resellers. So they were probably a little bit more expensive. And probably about half of this came from flea markets. And we probably purchased that at a really substantial discount. So in this room, there's only two kits to show you. We have one of Revell's 1/72nd scale submarines. And we have Ravel's offshore oil drilling platform, the North Cormorant. And of course, this big fella here is waiting for me to build a big display shelf in my living room. Here's the next stop in our tour. We've got the shelf here. This was a birthday present from, probably about 15, 16 years ago. The Cannonball Run van, well, you've seen a video on it. The 80 Ford Bronco. And I'm a firm believer that this was the best looking front end of that generation of F-150. Of course, up here we've got Ravel's recent Bronco, the original, offering. And then we have AMT's rescue van. And I have two AMT Ford Explorers. And they're actually really, really nice looking kits. We've got Ravel's Dodge Ram VTS. And I think this, and I think there's a Snap Together kit. They represent the newest version of the Dodge pickup truck you can get. That's sad that this generation of pickup truck is the newest one you can get for a Dodge. So we've got a 93 Ford F-150. This one here, the car's already been built, but the motorcycle that came with it has not been built. Moving back down to this shelf, they've got the original Space 1999 Eagle, the one's approximately on 1/72nd scale. I'd love to have the bigger one, but I haven't crossed that barrier yet of being willing to pay for one. We got another F-150 here. This is the melted butter generation. And this is one of the early Canadian armored cars from the 80s. And here we have a KA-27, part of my helicopter obsession. And we've got a John Deere backhoe. The interesting thing about this is the hobby shop where I had been working for them, and I think I'd already quit. But I happened to come in one day, and they pulled this out of the back, and they said, "We know you want this." And I bought it that day. And they basically said when they were touring their supplier's warehouse, they saw it, and they were like, "Oh, we need to get that because Dan will buy it." And we've got a Gazelle, got a pair of Hasegawa Cobras, and of course we have the Mojave. And this 77 Chevy van, this is going to be a movie project eventually. If we go all the way up here to the top shelf, we have Monogram's Eastern Airlines. I kind of wish I had the military version. And failing that, I kind of wish I had the CP Air decals, which were available probably about 10 years ago for it. We've got a Catalina here. And then we've got the Pro Modeler JU52. I've had that for almost 20 years. And then we got the AMT Lowboy, which is hopefully going to feature in a project this year, next year. I don't know. I don't want to make any promises. So next on our Magical Mystery Tour is the area above my hobby bench. And it's kind of dark, so hopefully we can see clearly. I think we'll turn on the flash. We have the Monogram Crusader, and this is actually a detailing kit. And I did not pay that price for them. I paid, maybe $10 for both together. The Enterprise Cutaway, I paid almost nothing for that, although it doesn't have all the cool decals, which is a bit of a pain. The General, you've seen a review on that. And of course, here is the 1/140 scale Boeing 747-8. Yes, I will do this eventually. The Tomcat, we paid almost nothing for that at a flea market. And as a matter of fact, I'm convinced that if we had held out for another couple minutes, the guy probably would have paid us to take it. I butchered this kit when I was a kid, and I had just expressed the tiniest bit of interest in purchasing it. And the guy went from 15 down to 10, down to 5, and I think for $2 plus we were buying something else. We ended up getting it. It was crazy. And we have Monogram Super Saber. We got an MI8. The T55. We actually got that from a thrift store. And once again, for almost nothing. And of course, we have AMT's Akron Macon. And I have this kit, which obviously isn't in the same scale, but I'd like to do a project where I have this and maybe the plane in the foreground, because they go together, obviously. And we've got the Sexton and the Revell's British Vosper and the Short Sunderland. And you know what? I'd probably rather have the Italeri version, but this is the one I got, so that's the one I'll end up building. Always wanted a Sunderland. The de Havilland Canada Otter. I actually have started this one. Unfortunately, needs a lot of detailing. Moving on over here, we have the Ford C-Series truck. This is one of many kits that, you know what, I could have a stack of these. There's so many things I want to do with this kit that's kind of got me paralyzed. But it's one of these kits that, honestly, I could have 3 or 4 of them, and I still wouldn't be able to do everything I want with them. So, we got a ME-163B. Of course, we've got Space 1999, Moonspace Alpha. I did a video on that. And we have a special AMC Gremlin. This has their box art, the big cardboard thing in it. So that pretty much does it for this section. So now we have the big shelf. All the way up there. So I will be standing on the stool for part of this. I think we'll start way over here in the corner. So we have Revell's Snap-Tight Ford Raptor. And then going way back in time, not in terms of kits, but in terms of subject, we have I think it's Mobius's. Yeah, that's Mobius's Ford Ranger. We get an El Camino there. And as the camera struggles to focus, we have Italeri Sea Dragon. We have an Aviate Harrier. Now this one I got for next to nothing at a thrift store. Mark II Lysander in 1/48 scale. No, I will not be buying, or I will not be building it chrome. As a matter of fact, those parts have already been stripped. And we have the PT-109. And then we have Lindbergh's huge kit, basically 3 kits in one. They're L700, the Ford Coupe, and the flatbed truck. And we'll move on to the top shelf later. We have the Atlantic Clipper by Airfix, 1/144 scale. This one here, I think I got it at the same time as I got the Harrier. Once again, it was next to nothing. The British 25-pounder. Hey, as a kid, if you built armor, was that not a kit that you really always wanted? And we've got a Hind. This is the re-release of Monogram's Deuce and a Half. And this is a really tiny 747. And this is actually the kit that I put in the April Fool's video in the big box. And then we have a Hellcat. Now this one belonged to my great aunt, and it was left to me. This one, I think I've built this one. No, I haven't. I've only built the Jeep. Then we've got some German soldiers there. Here's the Blumenwas 141. One of the kits that's one of the kits that you know, I'm afraid to start. And we have an early 70s Thunderbird. And once again we got another version of the Melted Butter F-150. And this is actually the one I really wanted. Not that I won't build the other one, but We got the Scirocco. And then we have a Honda CRX. I remember from those from when I was a kid. Yeah, what we got here? We got the Curtis Condor. Close to 1/72nd scale. Does this not look like a biplane DC-3? What else we got here? Let's move this out of the way so we can see it. We have the Chevy Caprice. Then we have the Cavalier. It was my first car. And then finally we have the 41 Chevy pickup truck, which awesomely has a straight 6 in it. Alright, moving on to the next, I guess, couple columns. We've got AMT's recent doubleheader. We've got MPC's Bad Company van, which I have reviewed. This one is the Shell Welder, which is basically a, I think it's 1/140, what scale is it? It's pretty small. It's a small scale, like 1/200 scale. This is the Pro Modeler ground support equipment. The Sea Harrier, I owned this one as a teenager. For the life of me, I can't find it, so of course I have to build it again. We've got a DO-24. We have the P-36 Hawk and the Seversky P-35. And of course we have the original Little Red Wagon. This Snap-Type Ford Aeromax, that's 1/32nd scale. That actually, Emily asked for that for Christmas. And Natasha said, I want a Model 2. They're twins. And Natasha ended up taking off to doing models, and Emily, well, never really got into it. So, moving up here, we've got the Datsun off-road pickup. MPC's Lincoln Roadster. Got the Starsky and Hutch Ford Torino. And then this is another one of the early 80s Canadian Armed Forces armored cars. This is the fitter's vehicle with the crane. And we have the Canadair Sabre, basically the hot rod Sabre. The Peterbilt, and you know what? Here's another one. I have 2 or 3 of these, actually. I'd like to have 2 or 3, because there's lots I'd like to do with them. And moving up a little further, a Prius! What the heck have you got a Prius for? Well, because it's a very significant car, really. And we need more modern cars. And we've got a Matchbox Voodoo. We've got a Westland Sea King. That's going to be done up in Royal Canadian Navy colors. I've got the decals. We've got a Hughes Cayuse. A Seahawk. Basically, we've got this so we can park it next to the helicopters for a sense of scale. The Jolly Green Giant. And the Bristol Sycamore. That is going to be a tough build. 2 versions of the Lynx. And then we have 1/48 scale staff car. And this is going to be paired with this Helldiver in French colors. I also have the American version of the Helldiver. Got the Heinkel HE51. Got a Grumman Duck. And we have a Jet Ranger. And I have 2 of this one. It's the Ryan PT20. There's the other one. One's going to be done as an American trainer. One's going to be done as a Dutch float plane. We have the Griffin, which is the 2-engine, 4-bladed Huey, basically. UH-60 Desert Hawk. And the Kiowa Warrior. Now we're going to go up to the very top shelf. So way up in this corner, we have another Grand Caravan. And yes, I have plans for this. We have a couple of T-Birds. And yes, I have very specific plans for these 2. Got a Beetle. Everybody has to have a Beetle. 48 Ford Woody. Oh no, more wood graining. This one actually belonged to my oldest daughter when she had her brief flirtation with building models. Volkswagen Rabbit. That would be a Golf for our European viewers. And we have a 37 Ford pickup truck. And we have the GMC pickup truck, the snowplow. This is a fairly recent acquisition. 99 Chevy Silverado, and so far as I know, this is the newest Chevy pickup truck you can get. Are you kidding me? This is a 20-year-old car or a 20-year-old truck. And I think that's the newest one you can get. So, got a Mustang Cobra, AMT Phantom. Pretty good kit. If I could get a hold of the MTC one, I would just be super happy. It's a little bit better than this one. Snap-type Ford Expedition. What about these snap-type kits? Sometimes it's the only way to get a more modern subject. We have the Dodge Dakota Sport. This one's by Lindbergh. At least Lindbergh was doing some newer subjects at one point. We got the Mini Cooper. We've got another, I shouldn't say another because it's the other one's up there. I've got two of these, and I do have some kit bashing ideas in mind for them. 55 Cameo. Ford Escort. I think I want this one for parts. And there is the other 77 GM wrecker truck. So now we've got the final shelf. And I think I basically wanted to have some big, ugly British planes. So we've got the Javelin, we've got the Lightning, and we've got the Buccaneer. And then on top of that, we have the Paystar. And this was probably one of the most expensive kits I've ever bought. And it's, of course, one of AMT Ertl's international offerings. And, oh, I just wish they would just bring back the whole line. Here's a more recent one. We have Revell's Aerodyne. Moving up a bit. Did a video on that. Mac DM600. I've done a video on this. I used the frame for one of these to build the stair car. Watch the stair car. Give it some love. So I've got a Leopard 2. I have AMT's pumper truck. Down here we have the Enterprise command deck. Why? I don't know. And if you want to see a really good one, go to Trekworks. I will build mine eventually, but it's not going to be in that league. We got a 67 Impala. We got a late 80s Chevrolet pickup truck. We have AMT's Sticks and Stones. That's the 78. Once again, I combined this with one of those to create the Arrested Development stair car. Watch the video. Give it some love. And then we have two versions of Monogram's Mack truck. And check out Retro Old School. He just built this one. So if you swing over to his channel, he just finished his. I will be doing mine as a tanker truck as well. Only I'm probably going to be honoring Southwestern Ontario's early oil industry. This one, when I build it, it's not going to be a log truck. Let's see. The Coca-Cola truck. Yes, I know I already have one. This one, I bought it to have on hand. Not to build as a Coke truck, but basically because you can never have too many Ford Louisvilles. I could have a stack of these. Correction, I could have a stack of these and a stack of the snowplow kit. And then we have, this is a recent acquisition by me. This is the Carvair. This is an awesome plane. The nose opened up, you could put a couple cars in the front of it. And then going to here, we've got a Datsun 280. We've got another T-Bird. And no, I didn't pay that much for it. And then we have a stock Model A Woody. Okay, I needed some vertical technology here. This is AMT's early F1 pickup truck. It's bagged, and all the parts have been taken off the sprues. And oddly enough, Natasha has one just like that. And then we've got the M32 recovery vehicle. We've got a Titan 90. Now, before this ever gets built, I'm going to be copying the Detroit Diesel 8V71 in it for future use. Here's our Volvo. We got a Super Guppy. We got a good old Master 2. And we have a F-18 Hornet. I think this has Canadian decals. Yes, it does. And more private jets. We have a Learjet, once again, 148 scale. And a Jeep Grand Cherokee. Why aren't more people doing modern vehicles? And we've got the Fruhoff tanker kit. There's two in there. No, there's only one. And actually, I think most of the decals have already been butchered. So, and of course, we have the Moonraker shuttle. And then this over here is the Ford sedan delivery. Once again, a bagged kit. So, that was a look at the Dan's Model Works stash. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it wasn't too boring. And I have no idea what's going to be built next. Okay, I have a vague idea, but I don't want to say what's going to be built next because that will probably change. So, until next time, just keep on modeling, and thanks for watching.